Good morning, and welcome to Strange Days, a show where people are invited to call in and share their experiences with both the audience and the host. Our goal is to foster a sense of connection and understanding, allowing listeners to relate to the stories and feel less alone, also promoting a broader awareness of different perspectives, while the host is available to provide thoughtful feedback and support to each caller. My name is Mac. I'm your host, a disabled, neurodivergent, cisgendered gay man. While waiting for an audience to form, I've been playing through Stardew Valley exclusively on stream. If you want to call in or chat and need my full attention, I have no problem pausing the game. And if you're here for the gameplay or the vibes, that's okay too. But without further delay, let's play. How is everyone this morning? I hope you had an excellent evening and an even more excellent morning. Controller's working! For those of you who were here last night, a good old-fashioned restart solved the problem. Hate Windows? I'm sure any of you on Windows also hate it too. I think next time, if I were to play through Stardew Valley, I would pick a different farm. I wouldn't pick the basic farm. I would definitely pick, like, the beach farm, or someplace that doesn't necessarily have the winter time. Because having actual winters is super boring, because not being able to farm in the wintertime is really boring. And most of the chickens and cows, yeah, that's fine. But the fact that the pigs don't produce anything in the farm, the fact that the farm animals don't go outside, that you can't even create a outdoor farm environment that the animals will utilize, I feel like is a big detriment to the whole experience. It's they have heaters, so why can't I create a heated enclosure for outdoor? I wonder, those are probably not considered gems. No, considered a resource. Okay. Well, those are minerals. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I can use the cat sculptures. Instead of the rare crows, so then I don't actually interact. But they do interact. Ugh, because I could. Well, yeah. Because I don't use that button to pick them up, so shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. And I have exactly enough. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. So that worked out. I suppose I can go dungeoning. Good morning, owls. How are you today? Were you able to get some sleep? Well, I'm hoping it was good sleep, at least. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I don't know how likely you are for naps, but maybe you'll get an opportunity for a nap today? I'm doing okay. A little tired myself, but I think my day is pretty open after stream. I have an afternoon, well, an early morning meeting at some point. Because one of my morning meetings from yesterday got shifted to today, but then, yeah, my schedule's pretty open. I think I'm making bread today. But other than that, chill. Ow. Yeah, I forget that you've already are 5 hours ahead, so if you had time for a nap, it's probably already passed. Oh, you mean deteriorate as in you don't eat as much? Gotcha. I oddly am the reverse in that kind of situation where like I overeat when I get like into an unhappy place or over exhausted and emotionally drained. Like generally that's my response to a lot of things actually is eating. Although I don't know if that's really my response anymore since food is a difficult thing for me right now just because I don't eat much in general. Yeah, it's not great. I feel like a lot of the way our parents raise us to monitor our food habits leads us to have disordered eating problems. The whole like finish everything on your plate and things like that just leads us to have bad relationships with food. But it's nice to see that there's an active community on TikTok that specializes in trying to help people rebuild their relationship with food in a positive way. It is, but yeah, like it's good to have that at your disposal. And it's definitely something that I worry is going to get lost in sort of like this shuffle as like TikTok gets moved around, you know? Something I saw today was someone talking about the age verification stuff that the UK has, basically blocking a lot of the mental health social support group sites through age verification and paid service blockades. And how that's basically disrupting people from being able to access mental health support because of age verification, which is literally the whole reason that these social support sites exist, is because people can't afford necessarily mental health support, and the NHS has delayed support for them. And like that's the whole reason that these sites exist, is because money, and now it's still going to cost people money. And I'm like, well, that's counterproductive overall, but also, why age verification? Like, that just seems overall. What? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but. But the age verification system in general doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oh, finally, a new season. need to see if it's a birthday today for someone so that I can make sure to drop off a thing for them. Nope. But Whoozy What's its birthday is coming up, and I need to make sure to drop off crap for him. It's always interesting that this change of the season means that rocks and branches and logs and crap fall all over my property, even though literally the night before they weren't there. So realistic. Wow. I mean, I suppose it depends on the website, though. Like, if the website hosts the kind of material. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's getting to the point where like just a standard internet search is just well, I mean, I don't use Google anymore really, but for my internet searches, but I see your point still in general. I mean, with my new medication and how it makes me not feel hungry, I sometimes have to force myself to. Sometimes my partner will come in and ask, like, dinner, and I'll be like, I'm not hungry, but I probably should eat. And then he'll ask, what do you want? And I'll be like, I don't know, but I need to eat something because I haven't eaten since breakfast. So make me whatever you're having, just in a smaller portion. And then I have to force myself to sit down and eat something. And I've gone like almost a whole day without eating before because I just didn't get hungry and I didn't think of it. It makes me feel bad because like I just don't feel hungry about it. And then my partner comes home and he'll say something like, "Oh, what'd you have for lunch?" Or did you eat anything today? And I'll be like, "No." Or like, not since breakfast. Because waking up in the morning, I eat something just because my insomnia always drove me to eat something. And so it's just become a habit. To immediately like eat a foods when I get up. It's kind of like, whenever I get out of the shower, I brush my teeth. It's just kind of a routine thing. Like, I just have these hard-coded things that I've just always done. And so when I wake up, I tend to eat a thing. Oh, I'm sure. Have you thought, well, I was going to say of getting like nutritional drinks. I don't know if you guys have this available in the UK, but like Soylent, because it's a beverage which is a little easier to mentally process as just something to drink. It has nutritional value. It doesn't have a lot of taste to it, so you don't have overstimulation. It's a little easier to rationalize as just something to take in. Because I know that, well, I know for me, part of it is when I first got laid off, yeah, so I know when I first got laid off and immediately after my surgery, I had some trouble eating. Because I didn't feel like I was worth it. Because all I was doing was sitting at home and I wasn't going out and doing anything, and all I was doing was recovering, and so I didn't need the nutrition. I didn't need the food. And I didn't have the income to support it, and so I could just leave it for my partner. So all I was doing was sitting around the house, not really doing anything, so you know, I could just skip meals and it didn't matter. Or I could just eat peanut butter and jelly, or, you know, a slice of bread, or just, you know, subsist off nothing, because it didn't matter. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anywhere to be. I wasn't very important. And I did that for a while. And it's not good. Like, I mattered. It just, I didn't feel like it. And it took me a while to sort of get that unwoven from my mind. It's difficult. Because we do matter. It's the difficulty that we're working through that's the problem. It's not that we don't matter, it's that we have made ourselves believe that we don't. It's the circumstances that we're in that have us believing that we don't matter. Because I know that I matter. I matter to my partner. I matter very much to him. I matter very much to me. I matter to certain people in my life a lot. But it's that sacrifice part of you and I that we have, that we want to give ourselves to others. And that's what I was doing. And there's only so much of that we can do. And so I eat now. And I still eat little, but that's more because of my medication than by a choice. Hello, welcome to the chat. But I try to make sure to eat, because it's important to continue to take in nutrition and be healthy and be there for my partner. And I also continue to make an effort to take care of myself so that I can take care of the home and the house and continue to look for work. Because I know that it matters. Because I matter, as do you. And so the fact that you're making an effort to eat and to fight against the internal pressures that you are aware of, that you tend to not eat when you're like this, that's good. I know. And it's good that you're aware of that, and it's good that you're talking about it. That's a good sign. Keep fighting that good fight, keep taking those steps, and I'm proud of you for talking about it. That's huge. And you're always welcome to talk about it here. And even if here is not on, like if I'm not streaming and you need someone to talk to, you know how to reach out to me. How are you doing this morning, Mr. Varka? You're trying to fix your sleep schedule? Sleep schedules are difficult. I find that maintaining a strong schedule, sticking rigidly to it, is usually pretty helpful. But you kind of have to find your own rhythm. I watch, so circling back to your original question, I watch movies and stuff. Let's see. I haven't watched. So I liked. There was a series on the Here Network called. Oh goodness, it's been a while. Dante's Cove, which was really good. It was like Gay Charmed. It was about a couple that moved to like this beach resort where there was magic, and they got caught up in this Victorian era couple that were caught up in like this witchcraft stuff, and their like tawdry love affair. There was a movie which is a little sad called Torch Song Trilogy, which was also very good. That stars Matthew Broderick and Harvey Fierstein. There was also yeah, the movies can be. Dante's Cove was actually not depressing. It was very good, though. It was dramatic and fantasy. What was the other one I watched recently? There was a more recent one that I really liked. Give me a second and I will go look it up, because I have to look it up based on the actor, because I crush madly on the actor. No. Oh, it's called Bros is the name of the movie. And it is also not depressing. Yeah, there you go. You already saw it. Oh, well, they're not exclusively gay films. They're LGBT oriented. There's also, was it Footballers? Oh, sorry, it's called Kickoff. Kickoff was written and directed by Ricky Beadle Blair, who is a fantastic director. who's also in it, by the way. I'm pretty sure that's the name, because I'm terrible with the name. Yeah, it's Ricky Beetle Blair. It's called Kickoff, and they also directed, I think directed, where's the other movie? It, which is also, it's a mini, I want to say no, that's also a movie, which is also very good. Both of those are British flicks. Yep, directed. They direct and wrote both of those. Fantastic, both of them. They also did. I want to say this is a mini series called Metrosexuality, but that's a bit older. And if you've seen the reboot of Doctor Who with Christopher Eccleston, that also starred the guy who plays Ricky or Mickey in that season of Doctor Who. He's the main character in Metrosexuality. Well, I mean, the 2005. 2005? Pretty sure it's 2005. Reboot. Sorry, I'm going through the digital stuff that I have because I don't want to like walk away from the stream in order to go check my DVD library of stuff, because I have stuff that I don't have digitally stored in DVD format. So I don't have easy access to those. So I'm only checking what I have digital access to right now. I don't know if I have a lot in the way of shows. Yeah, I think I really only have Dante's Cove that I followed. So Dante's Cove was on a TV show, or on a non-TV show, on a channel called the Here Network, which was like exclusively on Dish at one point, forever ago. And it was original TV programming, and they also had a crossover on another show. Oh, in fact, it crosses over on Dante's Cove because they go to the nightclub from the other show. And I, for the life of me, can't remember what it was called. But they had another show that was called like Noah's Ark. And there was, I don't think that was the show that they crossed over onto, but there was another show. Like if you do a search for Dante's Cove, like in the trivia section on IMDb, it'll tell you the name of the show that they crossed over onto if you're interested. But if you like do a search for Here, it's like Here, HERE with exclamation point. Amazon Prime offers it as a sub, as in a subsidiary subscription. That you can pay an additional fee for to access their entire library of stuff. If you're interested in paying for the additional stuff, because they had an entire like network worth of media content. If that's something that you're interested in like sifting through. But as for other things, there's also, I think it was TLA Video or Media. I don't specifically remember. But they used to put out tons of movies. Yeah, TLA is the company. They used to put out a bunch of stuff. So if you're interested in like just sifting through a bunch of movies and shows and stuff that might be of interest to you that are LGBT and specific, TLA puts out a bunch of stuff. Yeah, if you're interested in just looking at different options or what might be out there, TLA is a good source. But be aware that they are also where many movies come out from, and so you might run into the same issue you run into with gay movies where sad endings. Sorry, two more shows just popped into my head. Bears in the City and Where the Bears Are. Bears in the City is, I believe, a movie, and these are both comedies. Where the Bears Are started out on YouTube, and Bears in the City I've only seen on DVD, which is a couple of movies, I think. So those are comedies ish. The movie Bears in the City, I think, was supposed to be a comedy. I didn't find it funny. It's kind of like rom-com. Where the Bears Are is actually kind of funny. It's snarf comedy. Like it kind of makes you it's corny comedy, but it's still funny. In this day and age, most of my media, like my television consumption, whether it be TV shows or movies, is basically, if it doesn't make me laugh or if it doesn't engage my fantasies in some way, I don't watch it. There's just so much going on that I don't need more depression or tragedy in my brain, that I really need something to disengage me. So I want to laugh. I want to have fun. I want to have a lot more surrealism going on. So yeah, I'm definitely the same way. I want more humor and levity. Good morning, Casual. I see you lurking over there. Yeah, I mean, some of the depressing ones, they have a purpose and a place, and they're necessary. Like, they have meaning, especially when they convey history, and they need to exist for us to remember why we still fight. But we still need hope, and we still need, like, the energy to keep going. So like, we still need romance and we still need love. It just can't always be that constant arrow to the heart. So yeah, we need both. We always need both. Because if we continue to just rely on the same old things, yeah, I agree. It cannot be 99%. Like, I feel like it should be sort of like maybe, you know, I would be happy with 80-20, like 80% positive, 20% historic, maybe like melancholic, like something like that, where we just have more motivational, but we still have that historic, you know, reminder. We still need that momentum, and we still need that reminder, but we need more passion, we need more joy. We can't forget our roots, that's for sure. But we also should be exploring how can we bring the history and roots into these other areas. Because we don't have just pain in our past. There's also joy and love and so much more than just depression in our past. Well, that would be the problem right there, though. Because there is a common misunderstanding in the LGBT community where it's assumed that we know our history, and it's assumed that we are accepting of all of the LGBT people, but that's not always the case. In fact, there are specific letters in the LGBT community that are often excluded or misrepresented or miscounted and left out. And that's problematic. There are issues among that and problems with history remembrance. And the newer generations begin to forget. I mean, even I don't even know the full history of the LGBT movement. And in my early 40s, I wasn't alive for some of the movement, and I get that. But it's because it's not taught. And the only way to teach it is either from the elders, which if you're not active in the community, we don't get it from the community. We don't get it from the elders. And if it's not in the media because media suppression, then we need subculture media. If the subculture media doesn't deliver it, then where do we get it? And so just being LGBT doesn't deliver it, etherically. It doesn't just transmit to us because we are genetically or subculturally part of the community. It doesn't happen magically. So there needs to be a way of relaying that. And that's the problem. There has to be a way of communicating it. And I feel that the way of doing that is through some sort of media. And so through movies, through television, through books, through stories, there's a way of doing it. They just need to find a way of doing it that isn't so depressing. Like, I think Torch Song Trilogy is a fantastic movie. It just wrenches the heart so much. And it would be great to do that without leaving you in tears by the end. But I also agree with the last part of your statement there, that we do need to educate the non-LGBT individuals. Because it's not just our community that needs education, it is the wider community as well. But creating movies that are LGBT oriented is not how we do that. I think that where we were going in the media was how we introduce that to them. Background characters, little changes, small movement. But then backlash happened and they got forced to roll it back up. So I don't know when that's going to start changing again. It might be a long while before we start to see that movement again. Yeah, I don't think it's us. I think that it's the corporate media that's really the issue. I think that our community, our reputation is okay. I think that corporate media is cooked, as it were. I think they're the ones that are going to have the bigger issue in the long run. Because we haven't done anything wrong. They're the ones who bent to the will of politicians who ran scared and who refused to represent minorities and represent people. They're on the wrong side of history. And I think that's going to play out in the long run. How are they? Oh, you mean? Well, how do you feel that they're seen as harmful? You mean harmful to the community as like writ large? You mean sort of like as a representative of the community? So like, because I don't think necessarily RuPaul is a bad representative. I think RuPaul is a drag queen who, I mean, isn't necessarily the best advocate, but I don't think they're a bad advocate. I don't necessarily keep up with RuPaul, so. Oh, okay. Really? I did not know that. So I knew that drag culture is hostile and a bit catty, I would say, and it can be a bit aggressive towards each other, but that's part of the nature of, I don't know, performance sometimes. I had no idea RuPaul was transphobic. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that stems from some performance culture, though, in general, because if you look at like ballet culture, they also get very, very aggressive and hostile towards each other. Um, I don't think that it's appropriate, and I think that it just stems from sort of the competitive nature of certain environments. I feel like it's fostered in some places. It could be changed if they wanted, but that's a different conversation to be had. Um, I would agree with your statement that it's probably not the best representation, especially for something so in the limelight. But in general, we don't have necessarily the best representation in the foreground anyway, because if you look at Ellen, who had just the hottest, like one of the bigger named shows on television for such a long time, and then the downfall of her show and what she was doing to her staff as well, that's not great either. But it's how we keep putting these people on pedestals. If we could honestly stop, I feel like we need to pick a better person to elevate. We need to put someone up. We keep putting toxic culture forward because it gathers the attention. If we, as social media viewers, could make a collective choice to pick a person to elevate, a conscious decision as a community to elevate someone who is willing to try to make the effort to not be toxic, to make an effortful choice, to try to be a good person and work to better the community around them and work to be a positive representation for the people. Like, why did RuPaul become famous? Because all of the circumstances around them. Drag show became popular because the community gathered and watched it, and it became popular because of the drama and all of the toxicity. See, drag show wasn't on the air when I came out, and it wasn't any different back then. It was the same back then. I had the same troubles. I had the same type of confusions that you have today, except there wasn't a show to sort of lay that on. It's the same argument, but it's the argument, the ostensible argument is still the same, that we identify, we have this world framing that that's thrust upon us, that we see heterosexual coupling with a man and a woman, and we see these gendered framings with masculine and feminine. And when we realize that we're attracted to the same sexes, we realize that these gendered framings are what we have this confusion that kind of doesn't go with. And so we start to ascribe ourselves into them. So it's important that as humans, we like to label things. We like to fit in. We like to belong into categories. It's easier for us when we know where we belong. And so when we are attracted to someone of the same sex as us, because we've seen the man-woman, masculine-feminine couplings, we see someone who is man, masculine. We want to fit in to this coupling scenario. So we want to fit in, so we fit in as man, and so we fit in feminine. And that's where we feel like we should fit in. Right, and that's where it struggles. And so I find that it's an oscillation. We have to unstructure, we have to unravel where we fit in. We have to unbind the dynamics that we built in our younger selves, and we have to restructure how we view our relationship and how we view ourselves. I struggle regularly with what my masculinity is and what I define as masculinity and how I define myself. I don't think that being a gay man, I am exclusively one thing or another. I am not, so I will, for simplicity's sake, if I have to explain to someone my sexual proclivities, I am defined as a top. But I'm not exclusively. Because it's not an absolute. And that's because nothing is an absolute. And that's what I think is the thing that people need to understand, is that, and that's what, even like in heterosexual relationships, it's not an absolute. And it needs to be clear that even in it's something that they're trying to suppress in educating people now, is that in relationships, everything is fluid. It changes. It's all about communication and understanding how people grow and develop and evolve as the relationship changes. Well, it's because historically that was really important, because if you were getting involved with someone who was exclusively one or the other, then if you matched with someone that's the same, then you aren't going to be very productive that night. But that was many, many years ago. It was something that culturally stuck around for a very long time. And so it was part of etiquette. And that etiquette has stuck around, and it's become part of the culture. And I feel like it's not something that's necessarily as important in this day and age, but as part of the communication protocol, it's still part of etiquette. If you look at kink culture, in the kink community, it's part of explaining whether you are a dom, a sub, a switch. It's part of explaining who you are and being upfront and clear. I can understand why that might not be important from your perspective. But think of it like disclosure. It's being upfront with information that they don't want to be hidden from you. They're just trying to be upfront with information that you may or may not find important. But historically, they have had people that found this information to be relevant, and they just want to be upfront about it here in case it is important. Sure. I don't disagree. Actually, that... Huh. I think you just gave me something that I need to go look into. So, but you have to remember that not everyone functions that way. So you are demisexual. Sure, that is a criteria of you and a category that you belong to, but not everyone is. And as a demisexual, that means that you have to have an emotional, if I recall correctly, demisexual means an emotional connection when sex, relationship and sex is involved, correct? Like you have to have an emotional connection. Okay, so that's a criteria that you have, and that's what's important for you. But if your partner isn't specifically a demisexual and they are just attracted to you, but you have the emotional connection and they don't necessarily have that, but you've been together long enough that, you know, you have that bond and you guys are connecting and everything is working out, and you guys get to that stage and like things are moving in that direction, they want to be upfront with you, and they, you know, like you're like, you've gone on a couple of dates and they just want to be like, hey, I'm this, and they're being upfront with you about it. Like they're being upfront to explain to you because they're disclosing that. It's kind of like, they're just being upfront. They don't want to hide things. They don't want to... So as a demisexual, you have to have an emotional connection. I have personally muted emotions, so I struggle with feeling things. That might impact my hedonic responses to certain situation. It's part of why I struggle with understanding certain kinds of humor. I don't get certain jokes. I don't always perceive sarcasm correctly. So I'm upfront with people sometimes about not understanding jokes. I will point blank ask people, are you being sarcastic? It's kind of like that, where I'm being upfront. I'm just saying clearly, like, I don't understand. And so some people might be saying it because they're looking for a one-night stand. Other people might be asking, or not asking, but being upfront about it. They're just being clear. And so it might not necessarily be trading business cards. It might just be disclosure. Hey, I have $150,000 in debt and 6 kids. Just so you know, before we get into anything relationship-wise. Or it could be, these are my sexual interests. You want to go back to my place? Like, there's 2 ways to think about it. But I definitely understand how, depending on how old you are, there used to be like, what was the ASL? Was the shorthand? I think it was ASL, age, sex, location. But see, I think you, I understand. And I think that my struggle here is as someone, and this is me admitting, see that disclosure that I made. This is my difficulty, is that I think that you have much stronger emotional responses than I'm capable of understanding. Because I think that your emotional capacity is beyond my beyond what I can understand. And I apologize here for that, because I can understand what love is like. But the idea that you can love someone so deeply that it shouldn't matter, that anything else, like that these things don't matter, becomes irrational to me. And I can't understand that. Like, I understand that being a top or a bottom is irrelevant with love, because those things are dynamic. But sexual orientation isn't a preference. The fact that you loved a man speaks to your sexual orientation. But if they don't love you back, then they don't. And that speaks to their orientation. Like, if they are incapable of it, then that is their orientation. If they did love you, but sex cannot happen because they can't, like, if they can't do those kinds of things, then that's not the same kind of love. Because there are different kinds of love. There is passionate love and companionate love. And so, like, there's, like, that's how different people function with love. And so, like, you can love your best friend, but you don't necessarily have sex with them. I feel like that's where I kind of get a little lost in this sort of metaphor. Because I've been infatuated with straight guys before, where like the first guy I fell in love with was a straight guy. He did not like me like that. Yeah, I had that issue too. First guy I ever fell for was a straight guy. I really, really wanted to be with him. He did not like guys. He was not gay. He very much tried to be my friend. I was very much wanting to be more than that with him. He very much just wanted to be friends. He was very nice to me. He was very kind. He did everything in his power to just be like, hey, I'm not like that. And I very much was like, please, 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 could you just like, please? And mind you, this was in high school. But he was the nicest guy. And honestly, he was not the kind of guy you would expect to be like that. But he was very nice about it. He tried to be my friend at every opportunity. He just tried to be my friend. And he was not gay. And that's just how that was. Because he doesn't feel that way towards men. Eventually, I have to just accept that. That's fine. It's hard to let go like that. The emotions are difficult to disconnect from, and it took a lot of years for me because back then I still felt more of my emotions than I do today. Eventually, after high school, I ran into him and it brought a lot of emotions back. Back then, I imagined that I would have done anything for him because it wasn't love. It was infatuation. It was obsession. It was an, it was emotions out of control for me. I can't speak to your emotions, but that was back when I felt a lot of things. And it was part of why I spent a lot of effort in my younger years bottling my emotions and suppressing them. Arguably, I did too good of a job. So it's part of why I don't feel a lot of them these days. But what you made me realize is that I might need to look up demisexual to see some more finer details about it to get a better understanding of how the definition works. Because like I've heard it before and like read up on it some, but I think I need to look more into it. So a few things I'll say. I don't like, so I don't like feminine men personally. because I'm gay, because I like men. I have nothing against feminine men. I just like men. Now, not knowing gays in real life is problematic. It will drive you to problems. So I will say whether you don't have to sleep with them, but make friends. I highly recommend making friends in real life. Get involved with the community, whether it's going to a community center, going to events. I don't necessarily say like go to bars, but like go to community events, get involved with the community in some way. Because being a part of the community is impactful and helpful. Because those are the people. Old men are your elders. Again, you don't have to sleep with anyone you don't want to, ever, 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 ever. Never, ever. I cannot stress this enough. But realize that it's a spectrum. So it will vacillate and it will wildly oscillate per person. And that's why it matters to get involved in the community, to talk to people and get to know them. Because people vary, and they vary given on the environments too. If you're interested in meeting people and getting to know them and wanting to know them in masculine spaces, then you need to meet them in masculine spaces. Thank you for the follow. LGBT spaces, gay bars, are not always the most masculine. They're fun, flamboyant, party, high energy environments, which typically lend to being more of that energy. If you're looking for more masculine environments, look for leather, daddy, bear bars. Now, you will find flamboyant, feminine, and twinks in those environments because they also are attracted to leathers, daddies, and bears. But you're more likely to find those types of people in those types of environments. But if you're looking for people, you're going to find. But generally speaking, just go about your life. Eventually, you'll meet people. You'll never know where you're going to find them. It's always difficult to navigate and explore different opportunities. And if you're looking for people who are open to communication and open to different types of people, don't discount the kink community. They accept all types and all different types of kinks. I assure you that I can't speak for where you are located because I have not been specifically there. I don't even know specifically where you are from. But I have been to gay clubs in the UK. I have been to gay clubs in Amsterdam and in, I want to say, Germany. Not like everywhere, mind you, but in the few places that I have been, that did not seem to be the case. And I have been to gay clubs in the US, so I don't know specifically where you are, but that did not seem to be the case. It takes trial and error. And sometimes you can't just go for a trip. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries. Sometimes it takes theme nights. And you can't base it on like the music. It takes an effort. But no one can force you to try. And it also might take an effort into looking at meeting up or meetup groups, so like meetup.com or other types of communities online. You can see if there are other types of community spaces. Sometimes there are social groups that meet at like libraries or community centers where they just gather to have game nights or crafting groups where people gather to just socialize. Sometimes they have charity events where they do. There's one community group here where I live that does a annual bake auction where they raise thousands of dollars for LGBT causes, which last year I spent like $500 on some amazing pies. So to that end, so there are some bars in a town near me that specifically uses a wristband code. They use blacklight reactive wristbands, and you get them at the door, and they have color coding. So it has like, don't effing talk to me wristband, like no, ask first and please touch me, I think are like the colors basically. And so like that's not exactly what they're phrased as, but like they have color coded wristbands so that people know whether or not you're approachable. And the idea is for exactly that, so that people can know whether or not you're available or you want to be talked to or whether or not you can be flirted with. And as I was mentioning earlier, kink communities have events like that also, where people who are, in dom-sub relationships or who want to be available for flirting and what have you, will have indicators and stuff. Like if they're wearing collars or slave chokers and stuff like that, you'll know that they're, not available for contact. There's usually indicators and signs that say like, hey, no go. But in general, in kink environments, you don't touch without asking anyway. It also sounds like you need a wing person, someone who can go with you to be supportive, because I understand the discomfort you have. No, so the don't approach doesn't mean that you're not gay. It just means that you don't want someone to hit on you. It means that you are not comfortable. It means that people can't approach you. It doesn't mean you can't approach others. It just means that people can't approach you. It's for people who have social anxiety. It's for people who It doesn't mean that you are not available. It just means that people can't approach you. It's not a I'm not gay. It's just a do not approach. It's a like do not hit on me, do not touch, do not like it's not it's a do not hit on me kind of thing. Honestly, it's not as bad as it is as you might think. It's not too hard. And I know that you just got here to the stream today, but I stream Monday through Friday, this time in the morning and 7 p.m. Eastern time in the US. As I said, Monday through Friday. You're always welcome to come back. And if you have issues, anxieties, or what have you, or you want to talk about any of the things that you've come across, you're welcome to come back and we'll talk about them. Not an issue for me. And I'm more than happy to talk about them. I'm a gay, my partner's gay. I'm happy to be here for you. That's a fear, and I definitely get that. So, generally speaking, if you meet someone, you meet them in a public place, like you just take standard precautions. Like you meet people, you meet them in a public place. If you're going to take someone back to your home, either make sure you take precautions so all your stuff that you have that's, important is protected and secured. And you make sure that either you can take the person or you have ways of beating the ever-living crap out of them if they try to do something. Always, always, always secure your drinks. Never, ever, ever leave your drink alone with a person that you don't trust. Never, ever, ever leave your drink alone with someone you don't trust. That includes the bartender, unless you trust the bartender. And by trust, I mean really trust them. Generally speaking, if it is like a big restaurant chain, you can probably trust the bartender. But I personally don't trust anyone unless they're someone I know personally for an extended period of time and they've come with me. I'll take my drink to the bathroom. Putting a napkin over it or stuff like that isn't enough. I would rather chug the drink down and then go to the bathroom and then come back and order another one. If you go to a place, so this is probably extreme, but if you go to a place that you check your clothes and it's a nudie place, make sure you have a lock to put on your bag. Or it has lockers. Like, make sure to put the effort into thinking things through from start to finish to make sure you're protected. If you're going to someone else's place for whatever reason, or a hookup or whatever, make sure you have everything secured. Password protect your phone. Make sure you have a tracking device on your phone. Make sure you tell someone where you're going, or you have a way to tell someone that you're going to be there, or have them have access to tracking your device. Make sure you have a way home afterward. In case they decide that they're not going to, give you a lift back after they said they were going to. Do not accept beverages, food, or what have you from the person's home unless you trust them. Or unless you watch them open the thing, but even then, it's still risky. Like, you can, it's just everything is a risk, and those are things you have to be careful of. with that information, I'm assuming you're moving to Germany. But the Germans, yeah, but they're pretty chill. Austria, okay. Culturally speaking, the region is pretty chill. I went through the region in 2016. Fantastic people. Absolutely fantastic. As a tourist, screw being new to the area. I was a tourist. Lovely people. Oh, the food is wonderful. The people are wonderful. I think you're worried, and I don't think you will need to be. And as for the English German barrier, I think you'll do fine. In fact, can I come move with you? Are you moving there for university or for work? Or just for funsies? Or, I mean, like, because that's where you want to move to? Wait, so you said you isolated yourself from hetero people completely. So do you just not interact with people at all? Are you afraid? So is the reason why you have isolated yourself because you're afraid of heterosexual people? So let's talk about that. What is it that is it because of your previous emotional attachments to heterosexual men? Okay, you can't do that though. What you're doing there is unjust generalization. Just because so homosexuality is a minority. Sure, that's fine. You can want to work from home. That's not an issue. But your prior statement is unfair on the face of it. Homosexuality is a minority, which means it is a very small percentage of the population. And so stating that heterosexual men are known for their violence would be the same as saying that homosexual men are known for their rampant and unprotected sexual proclivity. All we are whores, which is not true. It's an unfair statement and generalization. You cannot make such a broad swathing statement about all the people. No, it doesn't work. I understand that you do need to put yourself first, sure. But you can't completely cut yourself off like that. And you're cutting yourself off from the richness that is humanity. You can take precautions and protect yourself, but you're cutting yourself off from the socialization and the interaction of people. No, you're making a generalization that's unfair and unfounded. I walk among heterosexual people all the time. There are so many people who are not like that. Yes, the world is aggressive and hostile right now, but that is not the majority of the people. What do you mean? That's the part that you won't change? You mean close yourself off? I just feel like it's. I'm not here to change your mind. I hear you. And I just think that it is an extreme response. And I feel it is impractical. And it will be very, very difficult to maintain, given that the majority of the world is heterosexual. Your comment prior to, however, is something that I have pitched as something would be nice. Not specifically a homosexual, because given that LGBT is not exclusively a homosexual category, because LGBT is more than just homosexuality. That's not. I think that is a very narrow-sighted and very unfair thing to say. I think that is victim blaming. I can understand that as someone who might be harmed and someone who might lash out, that might be a reactionary statement, but I don't think that that's necessarily fair. Because homophobic things may happen to someone who has heterosexual friends, but the homophobic thing might not come from the heterosexual friends. Sure. But isolating yourself doesn't inherently keep you safe. It keeps you safe from one area or one vector of potential hazard, and only one kind. Because you cannot completely isolate them out. Because the whole world is, the majority of the world is heterosexual. Going to the airport, who's driving the cab? Do you know? Who knows? going to a theme park, gotta go to the hospital, going to the doctor, who's your coworker, who's your boss. Like, any number of things are going to happen. You can't control all of it. And that's so much control just for this one facet. Okay, sure, that's arguing semantics. But the majority of them are going to presume themselves heterosexual. It's a spectrum, yes. But the issue is that you are isolating yourself for fear. I'm not scared of heterosexual men. If all heterosexual men scare you because you're afraid they're going to kill you, then that is a phobia, which is an irrational fear. You are ascribing something to them that is not an it's an inappropriate association. Because you shouldn't be associating death with all heterosexual men. Because their sexual identity, their sexual orientation shouldn't automatically presume death to you, which you yourself just stated previously. The majority of the world isn't heterosexual, they're bi. So you shouldn't automatically assume death. I think that the change of locale will be helpful to you. And I think that getting involved in the community will be helpful for you. Working from home is neither here nor there. But I think getting involved with the LGBT community in Austria would also be beneficial to you. I think that getting involved with the people there, you'll see, will be beneficial to you and will help you understand maybe that those people will probably not be afraid of heterosexual people. And maybe that will help you to find more perspective. It's fine to want to be safe, but it's the idea that a heterosexuality is inherently hostility, but more importantly, that you ascribe it to heterosexuality when you yourself have already stated that the majority of the world isn't heterosexual, that it's bisexual. But I will also accept the desire to not want to argue over it. Safety is important. But I do hope that when you do move, that you take the opportunity to be interactive and get involved in the community. Because community is important. Being involved is important. And well, if the majority of the world isn't heterosexual, the majority of the gay community isn't gay either. There's also going to be bi. Like, it's a spectrum. There's proportionality and spectrality to it. So keep that in mind, that there's a tipping point where degrees, but I still highly recommend getting involved. You know, meet people, talk to them, contribute to the community. Because I think it's really important to talk and be involved and socialize. It's part of why I'm here streaming and talking to people, because it helps to talk to people, to socialize. And as I said, I stream here twice a day, Monday through Friday, and I'm willing to talk. Because I know that it's difficult for people, especially in this day and age where not everybody has somewhere to go and talk. That's why I'm here. Because I want to be available to people who don't necessarily have an outlet. I will disagree with you on that, because we shouldn't be beating anyone. Hostility really isn't the answer. We should be discussing it, and we should be talking about it, and we should be dealing with it. But beating up isn't the solution. We should be making active changes, and we should be making a difference, but beating isn't the answer. And I'm hoping that was just a syntactic error or a selection issue, but I don't think beating is the solution, unless that's what you're into. But that is a different take. it's not like that. It's not a matter of hard mode and easy mode. It's a matter of what's right. We can't take the moral low ground. I understand that people might harm themselves, and that is terrible. And that's not right. But we cannot do the wrong thing either. We cannot do the wrong thing. We can't be the villains. Because if we become the villains, then they take the pitchforks and bring the torches. We talked about it earlier with the discussion of Drag Race. We have to stand on the high ground, and we always have to do the right thing. We have to try and be in the proper position and doing the right thing at all times, because if we don't, then they will bring out the rope and they will come for us again. So we can't beat them. We have to do the right thing. We have to be morally just, and we have to stand up for ourselves in the morally just way. And sometimes we have to grit our teeth and fight in the way that's best for us to do so. And it's hard. Well, I'm not a child. And I'm aware of how difficult it can be. I'm not affluent. I'm not wealthy. I'm not even employed. I'm struggling. I have been beaten. I have been hate crimed. But we still have to do the right thing. Because if we don't, they will break out the purple triangles and the rope. You are choosing to isolate yourself, and that is your decision. The difference here is if we choose to beat them, then they will choose to isolate us with purple triangles and round us up. So we don't go to the moral low ground. We always have to be on the moral high ground. We always have to do the right thing. pink triangles? I don't remember. It was purple triangle. It was purple. I just looked it up. Oh, wrong. Purple was... Oh, no, that was Jehovah's Witness. Oh. Nope, it was pink. Thank you, Trigger. I apologize. Purple was for the Jehovah's Witnesses. Pink was for LGBT. Thank you. I know that the conversation is hard. And Mr. Varka, I appreciate the discussion because sometimes the topics will be difficult here on the channel. And I don't shy away from them, and I try to handle them with decorum. And I'm sorry that you have this difficult road. But I want you to know that no problem. I appreciate the conversation, Mr. Varka. I know that the topic has been difficult. And I don't shy away from difficult conversations here. I know that it's a difficult road for you. And I hope it gets easier. You're always welcome here. You're welcome to come back, and you're welcome to talk some more. Well, I hope that maybe through community action and community activities, I hope, I'm not forcing anything. I hope, just hope, you might learn to find tolerance and acceptance. It's just hope. It might find some area of growth. Maybe. But until then, you're always welcome back here. Again, it's just a hope. But I still encourage involvement in the community when you get there. I also hope that you might seek out counsel. Your hesitance and adamance is very, very resistant to discussion. And it's worrisome. I feel that being a shut-in is... You might want to talk to someone. But I leave that to you. I am just someone that is a supportive person. I will be here to talk to and to be someone to talk with. But I do need to wrap up today's session, this morning's session. I will be back this evening. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. And I will see you then. You all take care.